So I was going to freestyle tonight and make some notes and everything, and then I thought better of it. Our theme is God, relationship with God. So I'm addressing this sermon to God and to you. As I stand before you, God, and this holy congregation, made up of friends, on the beginning of this day of at-one-ment, the beginning of this day of renewing our vows together as a community and as an individual with you, God, I thought a review of how I got here and the state of our union. What does our marriage look like? God, with me, and I ask each of you to consider what your marriage, what your covenant with God looks like. As Rabbi Heschel writes, imagine my sermon's going to have quotes from Rabbi Heschel. The challenge we face is a test of integrity. We are all on trial. We are all under judgment. The issue is not political or social expediency. The issue is whether we are morally strong, whether we are spiritually worthy to answer your demand, God. Or shall we continue to be deaf? Shall we continue to be sensitive only when our needs and interests are involved? Rabbi Heschel writes, we have attained this high standard of living. We must seek to attain a high standard of thinking. The problem we face today, this was written 52 years ago, 52 years ago, excuse me. The problem we face is to be or not be human. So I'm thinking about this relationship, God and people. When I was a kid, I had radical amazement. I was in a state of maladjustment to words and notions because I had an authentic awareness of that which is the real reality. I had so many questions, and I asked everybody. And I was blessed with the patience of my Father to engage with me, to take me by the hand and help me sort out my questions. So God, you and I were together. I went to school, and there I had too many questions. I also, believe it or not, had disagreements and arguments with people. I lost the desire to conform. I was made fun of because I couldn't talk well. Told by teachers that I needed a special speech class. And I became conscious of my being different. But God, what I didn't know at that time was I was supposed to be. You created me that way. God, the sickness of my father, his heart disease, 7 heart attacks in 7 years. I had fear of his death for years. I didn't know what to do with it. When I went to shul and I heard the davening with my cantor, my chazan, it alleviated the fear, but there was no learning that went along with it. When my father died, as you know, I was totally lost. And I lost it all. Reality no longer existed. Your reality, God, no longer existed. Reality was, what could I get? What did my family need? I had this tremendous need to be seen and to be found. And I know people tried. I was just too angry, betrayed, and deaf. I couldn't understand, God, how or why you would do this to me, to my family. I still at that time saw you as the big guy in the sky. So I went through this period of shame and guilt over what I was doing and what I wasn't doing right. And yet I was obsessed and I couldn't stop. I listened to call Nidre every year, not as well as the one tonight, but it never meant anything to me. My need to be accepted by the wrong people, God, drove me away from you. Crime, alcoholism, starting, stopping, calling out in all the wrong languages to all the wrong people, and always hiding from you. And yet, I saw you and my daughter, Heather. I had this awakening, but God, did it really take me going to prison? Oh, yeah. Moses in the desert, Jonah in the whale, King David, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Dalai Lama, all had to be exiled to awaken to your truth and your call. So what happened? I began a regimen of study and prayer. I cried out to you when you called Dayeka to Adam. When I read that, I cried because I realized how I had been hiding from your call, God, for so long. When in reality, all I wanted was your embrace. I have recovered and am recovering my radical amazement. As all of you can testify, I am certainly maladjusted to normal ideas, words, and cliches. I read this from Rabbi Heschel and I understood it so well. You, God, were searching for me, and I finally came out of hiding to let you find me. I ask all of you here, are you still hiding from God? Are you still hiding from the call of Ayeka? Are you hiding from the people next to you? Are you hiding from the people supposedly closest to you? We try and hide, and yet we can't. Because God keeps calling and calling and calling. And in some moment, we recognize the call. And we have this amazing choice to either run towards it or run away from it, as Rabbi Matt described in the story of Jonah. Yet, God, I cry out for inner peace and serenity, and you give me none of this. As Rabbi Heschel teaches, you have to understand the meaning of inner peace. Humans have problems. And the more complicated, the richer we are. The deeper our problems. This is our distinction, to have problems and to face problems. Life is a challenge, not just a satisfaction, and the calamity of our time is to experience pleasure only. I'm not against pleasure, as most of you know. But the greatness of life, according to Rabbi Heschel, is the experience of facing a challenge rather than just having satisfaction. He says, I would be frightened if I were to be ruled by a person who is satisfied, someone who has the answers to everything. So God, community, where am I to find the answers to the problems I face and our world faces? Again, Rabbi Heschel, the Bible is the answer to the question, what does God require of us? But to us, the question is suppressed by another one, namely what we demand of God. We continue to ponder, what will I get out of life? What escapes our attention is the fundamental yet forgotten question. What will life get out of me? Well, God, I'd forgotten your question for a long time. And even now, from time to time, I still forget. I work hard not to forget it, and this coming year I commit to study more, be more patient, have more pathos, and live in truth more. Do justice more, be more compassionate, more caring, live with more love for myself and all humanity. So God, community, family, Harriet, Heather, I say to you that I pray you that you get hope, inspiration, joy, love, truth, justice, and a deep knowing that I care from the way I live my life. I'm going to ask you for a moment, what are people getting from your life? Are the people closest to you getting you and what they need from your life? Or is it all about what we get? So God, community, in these almost 31 years, I've spent most of my life living these principles and keeping them uppermost in my consciousness, except when I haven't. So I'm recommitting to you all to do these more. And I ask of you, will you do the same? Will you live with more justice, more compassion, more honor, more grace, more dignity, more humanity, more justice, and more truth? God, thank you. You showed me the way to passion and purpose. Sometimes people think I'm too passionate. And in this too passionate place, I've forgotten your call and the call of the prophets to help everyone to be a divine reminder. And two, as Proverbs teaches us, teach or speak to each person in ways they can understand. I forget it sometimes. I forget to speak in ways that another person understands and speak only in the way I want to. Sometimes I get frustrated with the trivialities of life, and I'm sorry. I commit to get better in the coming year and all the years to come. God, sometimes I get lost in the details, and sometimes I forget the details. I have done better this year in being more attentive to the concerns of the prophets and to your concerns, you, this community, and you, God. How are you being more attentive to the concerns of God, the concerns of our tradition, to care for the stranger, the widow, the poor, and the orphan? And how are you more attentive to the concerns of those that love you? Only by being attentive and engaged in these concerns can we respond positively to the assault on morality and decency and truth that is happening right now in our families, in our communities, in our cities, in our states, in our country, and in the world. God, how do I keep you in front of me? Rabbi Heschel teaches God created a reminder and image. What is the meaning of being human? To be a reminder of God. God is invisible, abstract. And since God can't be everywhere, God created us. You look at a human, you're reminded of God. In writing this, I realized the depths of Rabbi Heschel's poem that he wrote in 1929. It's called God is Everywhere. Here are a couple verses. God follows me everywhere. God follows me like a shudder. I yearn for rest, but within me sounds the call, come. God follows me in trams and cafes. Well, I forget I'm a divine reminder at times. Sometimes I forget that you're God and I'm Mark. I'm fallible, I'm great, I'm imperfect, I'm deeply connected to you and all people, and sometimes distant. God, you follow me everywhere because you, this community, and you as individuals see me. And when I forget that you're seeing me, it's the same as forgetting that God watches. I forget that you're my reminder of God, and I forget the joy I get from serving you. I pray that all of you will remember this about me and remember this about yourself. We're all divine reminders, divine actors, divine actresses, and we need to think of our true and proper place in this world, in this community, and in our families. I'm commanding and demanding all of us to recommit to living in this manner more this year, to be more and better reminders of God. Today, because for me the day starts in the evening, so it's all one day. Today I stand before you, God, and you community, and you family. Deficient in deeds is the Hineni prayer that Cantor will chant tomorrow says. And I stand before you and I say, Hineni, here I am. This is the beauty of our relationship. I do not do everything right. And unlike before and unlike some people, I am here. I'm not hiding. I ask all of you in this holy congregation to ask yourself, am I saying Hineni? Are you here right now? Are you present in the moment? Are you present for your family? Or are you still living in last year and years? Are you still thinking about coulda, shoulda, woulda? Are you still thinking only about you and not about you and God, you and your family, you and your community, you and your world? Yet how do I stand here before you, God, before you, my community, my family, through the grace of tshuva? Tshuva is God's most unnoticed miracle, according to Rabbi Heschel. I ask for your forgiveness, God, and I ask for your forgiveness, community. And I also forgive all people who have actually harmed me and those that I think have. Today I'm free of resentment and anger, well, at least for the minute. I make this request in truthfulness, remorse, and responsibility. And how do I keep this moment with me at all times? I won't. What I can do, however, also comes from Rabbi Heschel. He teaches flashes of insight come and go, penetrate and retreat, come forth and withdraw. For this is the way all emanation proceeds. The light flows out of God and the light streams back perpetually. The immediate certainty that we attain in moments of insight does not retain its intensity after the moments are gone. Moreover, such experiences or inspirations are rare events. To some people, they're like shooting star, passing and unremembered. In others, they kindle a light that's never quenched. The remembrance of that experience and the loyalty to the response of that moment are the forces that sustain our faith. Faith is actually faithfulness. All of us have had an experience. Everybody sitting here is having an experience of joy, an experience of connection, and we have to stay faithful to that. Why do we have so many divorces? Because people don't take into account, they don't do a state of their marriage. And they forget those moments. Those moments when I knew you were the one. God, in my life, I've experienced periods of great joy and sorrow. I've done many things that I'm not proud of, and I've done many things that I am proud of. I understand this polarity as the essence of my humanness. And I suggest all of us see it that way. I do know now that you were with me at all times. I know now that you sent many divine reminders to me and sent many messages and still do. I commit to you this community and to God to remember more of the moments of insight and stay loyal to them more in this year 5778. I also know that you, God, and you, community, always stay loyal to these insights and help me do the same. As we fully enter 5778, I ask you, this community, how are you going to stay loyal to this moment, to your moments of insight? How are you going to stay faithful to what you know is the next right thing to do? How are you going to continue to grow morally, spiritually, and intellectually? My solution for all of us, you and me, is to stay together, especially when we disagree. Keep talking, arguing in order to learn not to be right. Let's all live in this state of radical amazement, maladjustment, so we can continue to learn and grow. Remember, we are children of God, of our sovereign. We are all royalty. No matter what our race, color, religion, ethnicity, creed is. Commit to treating all of our fellow humans as divine needs and divine reminders. Let's all this year bask in the grace God gives us each and every day to live lives of tshuva, responsible, truthful living, and the grace God gives us to renew our vows each year. Show this same grace to others, and then 5778 will change our lives, the lives of those around us, and maybe, just maybe, we will bring about the Messianic dream. Gemar Chatima Tova. Should be a good year for all of us.